Hello and welcome to another update video about Natgas. It has been a really good week for Natgas, so we have a possible bottom in place. We are moving higher. Talked in the previous videos, I think not the last one, but the one before, we talked here about a support area for this wave 2 to give us basically the second level of confirmation that the trend has changed. As I highlighted to you before, you get basically 3 levels of confirmation in Elliott Wave. Yeah. So you get a wave 1 to the upside 5 with an impulse. It's not very clear structure, but we said it's a possible impulse, so we labeled it as a wave 1. Yeah, that's the first indication that the trend has changed. Then you get your 3 waves down. We talked in the video about this support area. It did hold, absolutely. We actually hit perfectly the, let me just double check, I think the 61.8 fib level. Yeah, perfect, at 218 pretty much. So it's one of the 3 fib levels where we thought, you need to get support to confirm a wave 2. That's basically the second level of confirmation. And that's normally where I buy, yeah, typically in these pullback areas. A lot of you who joined also and follow me on the More Crypto Online channel know that I tend to trade pullbacks. I like to get into these pullbacks. 90% of the time, it's a 1-2 setup I like to trade the third wave. Yeah, the third wave is nearly getting to our target, I think. Let's double check what the target was. We can look at this look at that in this video. But the third level of confirmation is then basically when you break above the recent high, and this is really looking good. I mean, you never really know if the low is in, but with everything that we see here, we can assume it at the moment. This was basically the setup we talked about, and yeah, so far it's working out. So what you can do if you really entered in this support zone, then you can just move up your stop loss and you're basically out of your risk. Yeah, you're risk free now. So that's the beauty of pullback trade. And that's exactly, and it happens so quickly, but that's exactly what we've been waiting for, yeah, whatever, 6 to 8 weeks or something. I mean, whenever it entered this support area for the first time, this was the moment from when we needed to be ready. Yeah, when we were waiting for signals, there were no signals here. Possible signal, but it broke down, and there you go. And that's sort of the idea and the tactics around it. Yeah, patience, and then waiting for a setup, and then it happens, and it follows it, and then just adjusting your stop loss to be basically out of your risk, and that's sort of the tactics behind it, I think, that can be applied, that I apply like typically when I trade. Okay, now what would be the target for this third wave? Obviously, we do, again, it's cascading probabilities. Yes, we can say with a certain confirmation, we have 3 levels of confirmation. They were all confirmed that the low is in, but confirmation, and that's very important, confirmation doesn't mean certainty. Nothing in these markets is certain. So it's all probabilities, okay? But obviously, we have here a wave 1, a wave 2, now a 3, 4, 5. After this wave 3, it can still break down. This could just be a larger ABC pattern. That's why moving up a stop loss can be so useful or even taking partial profits, depending on what your plan and strategy was with this trade, okay, if you took it. Where was I? Oh yeah, this could just be a larger ABC pattern. So after 3 waves, we always need to be watching, do we hold a wave 4 support? But first of all, let's take a look at what was the need for the third wave here to reach. 1.618 extension. It should actually, in an ideal case, now it's not an absolute must, but it should be, it should get to 267 to increase probabilities for a successful wave 4 and 5. Yeah. So it currently produces I would say, decent structure. Yeah, the way, I mean, if I wanted to do really the micro counting within the third wave, which often isn't really that useful, to be honest, sometimes it's good to just let it go. Yeah, this could be a 1-2 setup here. Yeah, 1-2, and then maybe here another 1 A, B, 2. So 1-2, 1-2 setup, and we might just be working on the wave 3 of 3. So it might even extend out a little bit further, but this is the micro counting. You don't really want to get too involved in this, in this sort of little stuff too much, because it can change and it's very fragile. We've got a solid 1-2 setup. That is what was important, and now we just let it play out. Yeah, and Risk management is obviously very important, but yeah, it just turned around just sort of at the ideal target. Remember, I think it was, we talked about the target 208 and it came down to 207 and turned around there, something like that. It was the target for the fifth wave based on the measurements of waves 1 and 3, taking the length. So ideal fib support for a turnaround, and it happened quite quickly. And then the pullback is, you can never say down here the low is in. Okay, this never works. Obviously, when we had a signal or we had a target, talked about it. So that's when you watch. If you then, it's normally very risky to just buy in there. But when you see the first 1-2 setup, that's the pullback normally, But yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, and now it's all about let it play out. And what it now needs to avoid at any point, yeah, to maintain still a decent chance to move higher, is it needs to hold at any time above the 78.6 retracement. So it needs to hold above 226. A break below 226 will indicate this pattern is breaking down. Already a break below the wave 1 price region, so below 237, would increase the risk. It should avoid that. It so far has avoided that. Yeah. But yeah, that's where we are. And what else is there to say? Not really anything other than just to remind you of the targets now of this move up. I mean, this is the most, you could say, the most decent rally, especially in percentage terms, since we've really, well, for a long time. I haven't measured it, but it's a decent profit that occurred this week. Yeah. So from here, like 24% in a few days. And even if you just entered at the top of the box that we discussed, still a 14%, so it's decent, yeah. So anyway, what would be target now for this fourth wave? So bear in mind what I said before. What I cannot fully rule out is that the wave 2 is already in, okay? But what I am looking at primarily is that this is a wave 4 rally. So in both cases, we expect a rally anyway, either in a wave 4 or here already in the next larger impulse to the upside, basically to a new high. But for now, we are looking at possibly primarily a wave 4. And what would be the targets? So typical targets now. Yeah, I always try to remind you of these. So targets. So let me just adjust that. Here, targets. So let's just adjust it very accurately. Bear in mind, this is a spot. I might do that for futures next time as well. I just didn't find the time for it so far. But yeah, 319 is the 23.6 Fibonacci retracement. It's the first target. But I would say it should in all likelihood go to the 38.2 Fib at 389. That's the most likely target for a wave 4 in general. And the maximum it should do is 445. Which means if it gets above that, it's probably the case that this wave 2 was already in. And we're already in the wave 3 to the upside, an actual impulse, not in a 3-wave move up in a 4th wave. So yeah, I think it's starting to look really, really good. It will be interesting at the end of the month, in March then, how the monthly candle, or how it affects the monthly MACD, because this is still pointing down, yeah. This is what kept us bearish all the time. And at some point this will slow down, the negative momentum will slow down. I think that would also be a possible bullish signal. But for now the assumption is we are still in a larger downtrend. We're purely putting in a corrective rally and it's starting to look good. Yeah, okay, and that's my update about Natgas. I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.